The Gold Antitrust Action Committee was organized in January 1999 to quash the powers that are manipulating the price and supply of gold and related securities. It's a real pleasure to welcome back financial commentator and head of GATA, Bill Murphy. Bill also publishes precious metals-related newsletter at lametropolecafe.com. He's the man with the Midas touch. Welcome back, Bill.
Great to be here, Chris. Thanks for having me on.
I was hoping that you could give folks an idea of just how you build a solid position in precious metals for some of our newer folks that want to prepare for this big breakout in the yellow metal that will probably unfold in the next few months.
Well, Chris, honestly, it's real clear, and it's so simple. That's what we're talking about over lunch to some very special people. Gold's been up 9 years in a row, as you know. God has been right 9 years in a row, and it's because we know one thing. The gold price was held down because of the manipulation of the gold market, meaning the U.S. government and some bullion banks have been supplying gold to the market to keep the price lower than it should have been, but they've had a managed retreat. Things are on their way to the stratosphere. The gold cartel, they attack every time when things get overheated and too excited, but they lose because they don't have enough gold to keep it down. So to answer your question, on any dip, you keep buying. And if we're correct, we're getting ready for an explosion here very shortly, and that it's something that most people are not prepared for, but gold's headed much, much higher, as some of your other people will agree to.
Completely concur with you. We do here, too, because just from a technical basis, gold has this tendency to consolidate for about a year and a half, about 18 months, and wind up for a big move. And technically, you can't get a much more attractive chart than we have right now for the yellow metal.
Might add, Chris, the sentiment is so unbullish. I've never seen anything like it in 10 years. Normally, when you get a big run like we had recently, there was enthusiasm everywhere. But the junior stocks stink. My website's mediocre. I have what they call a cafe sentiment indicator. It's blah. I've never seen anything like this in 10 years. So I think what's coming in a week, month, two, is going to stun people.
Let's talk about this fancy term for printing money now they're using called quantitative easing. Not just the Fed, the Treasury, and several European banks. I mean, this is the big catchphrase that they're using for how do we print our way out of this mess this time. Eventually, that's got to be good news for precious metals.
Most of what I call the Muppets on CNBC, and pathetically enough, most of the people in the gold world don't relate to it. I mean, I'm referring to Goldfields Mineral Services, supposedly the spokesman for the industry, or the supply-demand people. They're talking for $800 gold with this quantitative easing you're talking about. It's nuts. Gold price is going to go bananas. All I can say is that the thinking in the gold world is it is the worst understood market in history because they've got the bought people dealing with it I've ever seen in my life.
$800, I just can't see that happening. I mean, sure, anything can happen in the markets. As you say, stick with these pullbacks and accumulate gold and gold shares.
Well, GATA articulated in 2003 before anybody else, because we knew the Chinese were buying and the mainstream gold world did not. They're buying. The Russians are buying. Guy Paulson, this big hedge fund guy, is buying. The big smart money is buying gold here. The public is still kind of blah because the stock market's made a comeback, but it's going to be explosive, and people that listen to you and Peter are going to make a lot of money.